This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
Welcome to the Off the Break Podcast, your podcast dedicated to current movie theater news, operations, and insights from the people that book the movies. I'm Ken, and with me as always are Cody and Kyle.
Hello.
You nailed it this week. Good job.
How are you guys doing walking into the dog days of fall? Anything that's got your tail wagging?
Ken, are these possible hints to a news item that we're about to bring up for the week?
Possibly.
It's a pun day, people.
It is. It's a Friday pun day.
Be prepared for a rough landing, guys.
So what's with all the dog puns? What do we have to talk about?
Well, release schedule changes, Kyle.
Yeah?
These are all good
Oh,
ones.
God.
All good things.
Good ones?
Good ones.
Okay.
This isn't, we're moving any dates back because of COVID. These are all, hey, things are actually doing really good. Why don't we take this film that was off the release schedule and put it on there?
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Shang-Chi did well, being only released in theaters.
Oh, Paw Patrol did well, surprisingly. I guess all those COVID restrictions that we were worried about with vaccinations didn't come to fruition.
Huh.
Looks that way.
So what do we got?
Crazy.
So we got Clifford, the big red dog from Paramount. It's going day and date with Paramount Plus on November 10th, which is a Wednesday. So kind of a random Wednesday opening. I know it's before Veterans Day, but I don't really associate Clifford with like, hey, when we're celebrating Veterans Day, let's go to the movie.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I don't know. That one doesn't quite make sense either.
But what they did do, and I know they'll say it was for Veterans Day, but they perfectly made a 2-week minimum into the new film's opening on Thursday Thursday for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, the day before Thanksgiving.
The day before Thanksgiving. So you can play Clifford 2 weeks into something like Encanto.
Give them their standard 2-week minimum for new releases, and then Encanto, Raccoon City.
Yeah, the Resident Evil.
Resident Evil Raccoon City, yeah.
Raccoon City is a better
House of-
title just by itself.
Exactly.
House of Gucci, I think, also opens early that week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think those are the three that open
Yep.
right before Thanksgiving.
Yep. So that's a good spot.
Are they doing that 2-week minimum thing? Or are they being more loose with it because of
Oh, no, it's
day
all
and dates?
always
Or-
2-week minimum.
Yep. With wide
okay.
With any
Yeah.
wide release, it's just the standard
Yep.
Gotcha.
boilerplate.
Always,
if you want to
always.
open my movie, it's
Okay.
it's 2 weeks.
Yeah. Unless you're a film company I don't want to name, and then it's like, 4 or 5 weeks off the break, you still want to open my movie? 2 weeks. 2 weeks for you.
What are you talking about?
A month later, 2 weeks.
All right. You said you had good news. It
Oh.
usually means plural.
So also we found out that the new Fantastic Beasts movie is moving up. So they must have a lot of,
Confidence?
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. In it. It's the end of the week. I just want to be done.
Let's fly through the
I just
puns and
wanna
get
be
out of
done.
here.
Yeah. It moved up from July of 2022 to April. So an early summer.
But the big announcement
Oh,
is
God. I don't want to talk about this.
But
that
come on,
they're-
it's exciting.
we have been so lucky with all of the sequel and prequel titles. Like, they've all been excellent.
Oh yeah, they're fun.
Let There Be Carnage,
That one was really good.
Jurassic World Dominion.
Yeah.
That one's okay.
That one's
yeah.
great.
It's hardcore.
That's really
Yeah.
good. It is hardcore.
Yeah. So this one, it's freaking Harry Potter franchise. Like, they didn't have a book for this, right? So this is
Right.
just theater. This is movie, screenplay only. So they've obviously got very talented writers writing the film, titling the film.
Well, we'll debate the talent of the screenplay writer in a minute.
Well, there's a lot of money behind it, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying. So
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
obviously the title is going to sell most of the people going to this movie. So it's obviously something to do. There's the word magic is in there, or something
Right.
that's going to
Well, it's
nudity.
it's a continuation of the Fantastic Beasts saga, and the official title that came out for this third entry in this saga is Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore.
Who cares?
Yeah.
So it is about nudity. Nice.
Dumbledore. So Kyle and I both had the same reaction. In fact, his little note on my sheet is like dumb. It's just It's just a dumb title. I don't even know. That's my one and only reaction I've had to it. I've let it sit for 24 hours. I still think it's a dumb title.
It just this title needed to come at a time, and we're probably reading too much into this, but it needed to come at a time where, you know, Harry Potter fans and the Fantastic Beasts franchise really need an uplift. You know, the second movie was not well received. J.K. Rowling lately has been hated on by her own fans. The Johnny Depp fiasco of them having to replace him with Mads Mikkelsen was a wrench in their cog, although Mads Mikkelsen will be great in this movie. You know, a title at least gets the enthusiasm back up, especially for something as big as the Harry Potter franchise. But the Secrets of Dumbledore, it's like, who cares? Like, what possible secrets could there be?
There's no secrets.
What could he be hiding?
There's no secrets that we care about for Dumbledore at this point that haven't already been exposed.
Yeah.
In various forms and throughout any of the series so far.
Books, even the last Fantastic Beasts movie. A reveal was made that wasn't shocking.
I feel like they had to add the name Dumbledore in it just to remind everybody this is in the Harry Potter universe.
Or yeah, I mean, I think you're pretty much spot on with that. But clearly it didn't work. I mean, I didn't feel any sort of gauge of the needle of swinging to the opposite side of people actually looking forward to this.
I feel like J.K. Rowling, by having written the screenplays, screwed up the story. It should, first of all, this series should never be 5 movies deep. Like, going into it knowing that your story can't be told in 3 movies or less is ridiculous, especially when there's no good source material that people can read to get them from movie to movie to movie. So that was a dumb plan to begin with. And then, but you're like, okay, well, she's so good with Harry Potter. Maybe we can see, you know, maybe they'll film it in a way that leaves you just cliffhanger on each one. Mm-hmm. But the second movie was so bad and took such a turn and such randomness that I don't care about any of the characters anymore. And it's called Fantastic Beasts, but there were like no beasts in the second one. Yeah, they kind of missed the point of the initial premise of Fantastic Beasts and have gone so far down the rabbit hole of convoluted relationships.
Nonsense with like, you know, the world building and the relationships that aren't there to begin with. It already feels like a mess upon arrival. Yeah, if you want to hear more of our thoughts with how much we hate this franchise, there's an episode or two, like many years ago at this point. You have to go deep down the rabbit hole of...
Do a deep dive on Off the Break podcast.
Yeah, of Cody, myself, and Eric just explaining like why the second Fantastic Beasts and that franchise in general is just bad. I mean, but it is theatrical only by the looks of things, so hey, that's great. People will go out and see it.
It's got something good going for it.
Yeah, there will be curiosity about it to see if it redeems itself.
Are there any other casting changes besides Mads Mikkelsen?
No, that's the only
being
one.
Grindelwald. Everybody else is returning.
Yep, everyone should be back.
I mean, everybody else was very well casted in that.
Yeah, the acting's not bad.
The acting's not bad at all.
It's just a convoluted mess of a script.
So bad.
It feels like it doesn't matter.
It needed, in this time, knowing that it was such a mess, she needed to do some world building and put out some books or, you know, something more on social media, like on her Pottermore site, so to give these stories some more depth to keep people like synced into it a little bit more.
Well, right now she is not on the good side of her fans right now, and I don't think that's going to be helping.
Nonsense and start getting back to world building and writing and kind of doubling down on what she's better at, because she's ruining this franchise right now. I really feel it all centers around the writing and the storytelling, because we have great production value, we have great acting. Why are these not working? And it all comes down to just a terrible story.
Yeah, writing for books and writing for screenplays are different feats.
So takes such different talents. Yes. And it doesn't take anything away from her talent to say, maybe I can't do the screenplay, and to bring somebody else in that could.
I'll just take my creator and producing credit and buy another castle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay, JK. Well, we get it.
All she did was mar her stellar reputation by taking a shot at something and then continuing to do it.
Yeah.
All it takes is being comfortable enough in your own skin to let a project go to someone else.
Yeah.
Just
Where's
like
the confidence in
Clint
that?
Eastwood has done and not made 3 movies in his 90s. Just handing it over to
we're
somebody
going
else.
to get to Clint in a second.
Oh boy, what could that possibly mean?
Handing the reins over from my cold dead hands is his motto.
Well, yeah.
He's the Charlton Heston of Western movies.
Yeah. So yeah, those are the only changes. Really good. I mean, it just shows a lot of confidence in the box office and movie going in general that Paramount put out Clifford and Warner Brothers is moving up Fantastic Beasts, to April. So that'll be nice.
It's a little bit of a weird release date. Mostly I think of Harry Potter with like Halloween or Christmas. And I
Right.
think they've usually scheduled, or I guess like middle of summer too, they've done it. But I mean, hey, it's coming up closer. We could use a good title at the start of 2022 like this. So
Yep.
yeah.
All right. So that leaves us to some booking strategies. Right now, Shang-Chi is outgrossed Black Widow.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome. It just shows the power of theatrical exclusivity, and that's what we all want.
I would say so.
Exclusivity.
Yep. But I don't want that studio to get too high on the horse here because
Too big for your britches.
Yeah, because they wanted to remind us that they're still in the game and to not come off their movie to open Venom or James Bond, and it's like the same conversation I've been having with lots of studios. It's all going to be gross driven, but I'm not going to tell the theater, sorry, we can't open extra screens of the film that people actually want to go to because the other studio is trying to hold the reins on something that's been in the market for 6-7 weeks. I mean, it's amazing it can be in the market at that time for that long in this kind of new pandemic world that we have, this post-pandemic, box office reality that we have. But just the fighting for, the screen time and stuff is crazy. And the theater is just being caught in the middle. And none of it is helping the theater at all. And that's what's so frustrating.
None of it is tied to any sort of reality.
No. Or real objective, like, numbers.
Yeah. No, I mean,
or policies.
We used to have fights about 4-digit totals staying on screen. And now we've had fights over grosses less than $300 for a weekend.
When
for
they're
3
like,
days.
I'm number 1 in the complex. I'm like, it's less than $200. Is it okay to let this go?
Yeah.
What are you getting from this?
We'd do better selling hot dogs by throwing them at cars driving by than playing your movie next week.
It's just, and I know it's all the studios right now are making that.
Yeah.
It's not just one in particular. It's just frustrating to have to even have these conversations, and especially have them over films that have been in the market and have them been in the market for so long, and so far off the break, wanting 2 and 3 week commitments, like wanting that stuff. It's just absurd. That's never been how we did business. You make a minimum week requirement, and your thought going into that is that the studio is comfortable with you playing the movie for this minimum week requirement. If they wanted more weeks, they should make the requirement more. But the reality is they make it a certain amount, and it's usually been 2 weeks. But now they're saying, well, we want to pull dates, or we not want to play you because you're going to take us off screen after 2 weeks. Well, you should be very happy to have gotten the 2 weeks, and that's what's just infuriating. And coming out this next week, and it just goes to all the upheaval that we're having in our industry right now, that like traditional processes and procedures are being thrown out the window, and we're trying to remake and find common ground and find a new process with how these are going. And it is a struggle, especially when a studio is like, well, we're making this theatrical only, and you're like, well, they should all be this way. and the problem is that because we've pushed back so many titles because of COVID, now we've just got an overabundance of titles, and there's not enough screens to give each one of them justice for the amount of grossing that they're going to do. And sacrifices will probably have to be made because in October we have just so many good titles.
There's gonna be a whole bunch of good stuff.
And I could play them all individually on a single screen, but that doesn't give me enough show times. It doesn't utilize the seats enough. It doesn't offer flexibility for audiences to come in. It does nothing good for the theater and all for the studio.
And it also doesn't utilize all the money the studios are using on advertising that week.
Right.
If they're going to spend $30 million on advertising, $29 million of it is spent before the film is released. And then the second week, if it happens to be number one, it's like, let's buy $1 million worth of ad spots to say we're number one.
Yeah, to keep it going.
But that's it.
And then, but not 4 or 5 weeks later, they're still not advertising it.
No.
For theaters
short
at
of
that
like
point.
Avengers, Endgame, or Avatar, they're not advertising after the fact.
You wouldn't assume that they are, and they're probably not. Or the campaigns have really scaled back.
Yeah.
And what is getting advertised now is the next thing. But it's just this pervasive. What have you done for me lately? What are you doing for me right now? Why are you not doing for me? Like, why are you not doing this for me? And I was frustrated last week. I'm frustrated again this week. I've had so many of those conversations. Really? Yeah.
We couldn't tell.
It just, from every studio, at a certain point, it's like,
Wake up.
Yeah. The reality is I can't do for everybody every week all the time.
Yeah.
I'm going and you're not my overlords. Okay. My clients are my bosses.
My overlords.
They're the overlords.
They're my overlords. And they're the ones that I'm going to protect and make sure that their success and that their butts and seats rates are through the roof, and that we're going to be flexible and utilize it. So,
do you think
it's just tough.
Do you think October is going to be the learning period that the studios are finally going to recognize, and then they'll figure out a better... Okay, fine.
No, that has never been the case,
No,
and
I
will
think
never
you're
be
Wishful
the case.
thinking. I know. Carry on.
No,
That's a wonderful thought, Kyle.
because that's not their objective. Their objective
Yeah.
is protect themselves and their and make as much money as they can from these movies. And I get that. That's their directive.
Mm-hmm.
That we are in a weird industry where we lease somebody else's product and sell it sort of as our own, so we could sell our own experience product. And they have every right to tell us how and when and for how long, and that we can utilize their product, because we didn't make it. We don't have any skin in the game on its production, so we don't even market it. We as theaters don't do any of that. We are just saying, hey, you have this great product, we'll showcase it for you. And that comes with rules and restrictions, and I get it. And I get the studios have just been through a pandemic. They're all corporate owned. They all have shareholders that want returns on their investment. So
luckily the theater skated by not having to go through a pandemic as well.
Yeah.
They were the only industry not affected by COVID-19.
The only ones. And so it's just this huge tug of war between what makes sense for the theaters to run successful operations, to utilize these products from the studios to enhance the experience in the theater for their customers, and to get butts and seats and spend those concession dollars. The theater has different objectives, and the objectives are just more and more not aligning, or they're not becoming mutually beneficial. Like, the studios aren't allowing the theaters to utilize and have flexibility to really showcase the product better. And they are just coming down more and more on, like, you're going to do it our way or no way at all. Like, we don't want your date at all, because we have an alternative now. So the theater really lost a lot of their bargaining ability.
Yeah.
And that's hard. But they haven't lost so much that they're not needed anymore. I think it's all very apparent the theatrical experience is still very valuable for the studio product. It's just that more and more they're just losing control about how they can showcase that value. And that's tough.
No longer are film reels padlocked with the secret code.
Oh, there's still codes.
Just not the same. It's not in your hand. You don't feel the padlock.
Yeah.
You don't have to.
It's not the same as typing on a keyboard.
Open anything. No.
Yeah.
Lift a lid.
Yeah. Well, speaking of lifting a lid, uplifting, we've got Evan Hansen this week.
Yeah, so we've got Dear Evan Hansen opening this week from Universal, and Deadline projected it to have a $10 million opening given its Thursday night preview grosses. And
apparently there's that many angsty teens that are willing to see this.
Yeah, I thought that was super optimistic. Almost dare I say, a hot take on Deadline's part.
Yeah. In the Heights, PG-13 with Lin-Manuel Miranda attached.
Who is coming off the success of Hamilton and has been making a name for himself.
And Moana, and it opened to 11.5 million in summer when kids were out of school.
Yeah.
And
it didn't have any horrible things in it.
And this movie it's PG-13 also, but it's a tough sell.
I think it's a tougher sell for sure.
Much tougher.
In fact, I've had a few clients ask not to play it because of the teen suicide in it. Like, this pandemic was really hard, very, very hard on teens, and some of them didn't make it through. And those communities are still feeling the effects of that. And so I get it. And so we honored that, and we didn't even request it in some of these spots. And we got a little pushback, but that's okay.
And on top of that, there seems to be a large outcry of the main actor being way too old for the role of a high school student.
I find that's crazy because haven't we all grown up with like 20-somethings playing high school students?
Oh, it's a normal thing. And
I grew up with Power Rangers. The youngest one was 25.
Exactly.
Why do people today need like such an authentic experience that a 20-year-old can't play a 16-year-old? They're really not that far apart.
I mean,
because there's so many starving 16-year-old actors out there that needed the role.
I don't know. I mean, I get it to an extent. Like, it's kind of at a certain point, like the line between like it being so apparent that can be jarring and can take you out of it. I just find it so
mustache. He's not like
I don't know. Like, I get why they cast him in the first place. He was the guy who like wrote and starred in the Broadway musical to begin with, so of course you'd want to get him again. But it just makes me laugh, like how many people have been crying out for it, and they're not going to see it because of this. I don't think so.
It's actually it's become
it's weird
a very
how much
big,
of an uproar it is, and
like issue over this film. I just think that it's got a good name. Universal will market the crap out of it. They're definitely really good about marketing. They get a market across their whole company. If anything, this will do some business because the marketing will have gotten people out the first week. 10 million. I mean, maybe that's fair. I don't know. I just felt like that was a lot.
I mean, it's like Ken said, like the most uplifting, happy musical by one of the biggest stars on the planet only grossed 11 million.
Yeah,
I just don't see. I just don't see this one getting close to that.
Yeah, unless this has a cameo by Hugh Jackman in it, I think it's in trouble.
We were talking about it. I think only musicals starring Hugh Jackman work. I don't think any movie going audience wants to see a musical if it does not have Hugh Jackman in it.
I'm starting to agree.
Name the only two that have done any business. It is Les Mis and Greatest Showman.
Oh, Les Mis! I forgot about that one.
Les Mis was huge, and it was at Christmas, and I was like, no one's going to want to see this depressing piece of crap at Christmas because I don't like musicals. Huge. I was like, why are people doing this to themselves?
Yeah, and meanwhile, Dear Evan Hansen is much more realistically depressing as compared to whatever time period depressing
French Revolution.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as close to home as the subject matter in Dear Evan Hansen, that's for sure.
Yeah,
and again,
but it's not as uplifting as Greatest Showman. So you got two ends of the spectrum on with Hugh Jackman's musical career.
I guess the selling point is Hugh Jackman.
Yeah,
I don't know. But anyway, hopefully it does do 10 million. I think for how low our expectations are for this, that would be good.
I do want it to do some business. I don't think I want it to do $10 million worth of business because I'm running into a booking issue. If it does too much business, I'm going to have to hold it longer than I want to, and that'll take away from Bond and Venom screens.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
That's my only issue.
October is going to be so crowded that if Dear Evan Hansen doesn't work, there's going to be other movies that are much more playable and
but if
possibly enjoyable.
If it does, then I'm getting a little tight. On those screen counts. A little unforeseen tightness going on.
Any other thoughts when it comes to this weekend, or?
No, I think, I think people are just really gearing up for Venom. I think Venom's going to be really big. It has such a short run time. It's so well paced. 97 minutes, everybody. 97.
Perfect.
You know how many showtimes you can get in 97 minutes?
For a Marvel superhero movie, 97 minutes. I mean, Endgame
without the fluff. It's just down and gritty.
Endgame was over 3 hours. Like, people played it around the clock in large cities. I mean, 24 hours a day running shows. This, you can play it 14 times before lunch.
Yeah, on enough screens, you probably could.
If you really want to, let's try it.
In a big complex, you only need like 5 screens and 2 or 3 show times, and you've got 10 shows right there.
Yeah.
15 if you give them 3. So that if you started like 9 o'clock
Oh God,
in the
we're
morning,
doing the Cody Does
my
Math
gosh,
podcast.
Yeah, let's move on before it gets out of hand. I don't want to see the calculators and the hamster on
Wait
the
till I
wheel
tell you
roll
about
faster.
Last Duel.
Speaking of Cody Does Math, can we do Clint Eastwood Does Movies now?
Oh yeah.
All right, I'll give that one. That was a thumbs up.
I will bow out of this conversation. Let you two gentlemen give me your reviews of Cry Macho.
Well, we'll keep it short since the box office just creeped over 5 million. HBO Max release hurt this one definitely.
I don't think it was HBO Max.
Yeah, that's
Ken.
what I'm thinking.
I really looked at that, and I don't believe this one was geared.
I have to believe it hurt it.
No, this one's geared to an older demographic, mostly in the West and the Southwest. Apparently, I thought definitely Mountain West, but Southwest. And it's just an older demographic. They don't have HBO Max. They're not looking for it there. I think they're just not going to the theater. And I wonder how many of them are still around to want to see a 90-year-old Clint Eastwood. I mean, his target audience has got to be aging with him, and
is that what you mean?
And they're
by
probably
still
not.
around?
Yeah, they're probably not as lucky as he is to be fake riding horses at 90. So,
he did fake ride a horse.
I think we maybe have seen the effects of the pandemic in a different demographic, a different way.
Oof. All right, let's move on from that.
Let's hear your dark review, Kyle. Keep this train rolling.
I'll be more uplifting because I thought this was a nice movie. Definitely much more down to earth, a little bit more melancholy for a Clint Eastwood directed, starred in movie. But I think that was also kind of the point. It was kind of his reemergence of the cowboy genre that he's always been known for so many years. It's what's made him a legend, but it also is kind of his way, at least how I saw it, for him to be like, like I was played the shtick of the macho cowboy loner type for so long, but don't let that persona, if you are like attached to that persona, affect you in your personal life. Like there's more to life than just, trying to be the loner cool guy cowboy motif. So I thought that worked well enough to get that across. Sometimes it was a little bit cheesy, but I don't know. It worked for me to where it was just a nice, more quieter story as compared to, other ones that are a bit more exciting or at least more dramatic as compared to this one.
Yeah, this was definitely not an Unforgiven or Josie Wales or In the Line of Fire.
Yeah.
But it had, a reasonable amount of action and interaction. And I say the same thing, not that I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was really well done and poignant for the people that appreciate Clint Eastwood as Clint Eastwood.
Yeah.
Like if you love any of his films, you will see parts of that character in this film.
Yeah,
that touch where he shows all the standard Clint Eastwood emotions. This was just a going away party for his character.
Yeah.
You think it's his final film? Like that where he stars
How
in.
could it?
No, where he stars in, not where he directs.
How could it not be?
You think so? That's what you got out of it?
He was the oldest man in the world in this. He looked like George Burns. He looked like the father from Grumpy Old Men. He was one day on the beach away from being the crypt keeper. Like he's so old. Like you hear Clint Eastwood and you like literally project a face from the 80s and 90s
like
onto
Dirty
his
Harry.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't see it. And then all of a sudden he like gets close to the camera and the 4K kicks in and you're like, ruh-roh.
See, I don't know. Like as much as he was being reflective on how long of a life he's had, I don't think he's going to be done when it comes to being in his own movies. I think he's like, until I get buried in the ground, I'm going to still be in them.
You can pry that script from my cold dead hands.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't think he's done.
I just wonder, like, at a certain age, I was talking to Ken about this in the car. I made the a note that he could probably go longer because he's in a job that's a creative job that he obviously hires a whole staff of people to do all the heavy lifting for him. It's not physically taxing, although it's probably more physically taxing for most older people of that, 80 to 90-year-old range.
Sure, yeah.
So I'm not saying he's not in great shape. I'm just saying physically taxing, it's not. Very creative. It keeps his mind going. That's probably why he's able to do this for so long. I just wonder, though, at a certain point when enough is enough. Like, do you just literally do it till you die, or do you swan song it off, or do you have anything else in your life, or is this it? And if this is it, that's fine. I'm not making a judgment call on if this is it. It's just,
do you think
is it weird to see a 90-year-old and have a love interest on screen? Like,
it kind of, well,
at a certain age where you're like, this that's not going to really happen.
The love interest was middle aged, but even still, it was. She looked good. She looked good.
What do you think is a good age range? Like, he's 90, even if he did somebody 10 years younger, which is still.
But she was like 50, 55.
Yeah.
She wasn't.
But he's 90.
No, I get it. No,
that's
I understand.
35 years difference.
Yeah. No, I get it. It was.
Yeah. We don't know what else to say to that.
I was hopeful that.
I just think he should stop starring in films.
I was just hopeful that they would we're going to take it a step further and we'd see some liver spots rubbing together, if you know what I mean.
There'd be a lot. Some wrinkly skin.
Yeah.
Flapping.
I mean, I think Eastwood just still has it, and he wanted to prove that in this movie.
I think he just needed to prove it.
Yeah.
And he got it.
Oh.
Was she age appropriate?
As age appropriate.
They're adults.
Hey, she was age appropriate for Hollywood. Okay. We don't cross that line here.
I mean, there's no beautiful women in their 70s getting a little closer to the 90 mark.
Do you want me to say no out loud?
That's a good time. That's a good time to move along.
Yeah.
What do you want to do? Math now? Let's go to that instead.
Yeah. Helen Mirren wasn't available to play the part of a Spanish-speaking Mexican woman.
Oh, all right.
So that was it.
She is beautiful, though. And she's sassy. She still has it.
Helen Mirren can still get it.
There's the one and only example. All right.
Fair enough.
Told you. All right. So, Kyle, what else do we have in the realm of news now that we know Clint Eastwood made it through another film?
Clint Eastwood could get it.
We have kind of an interesting development when it comes to the industry as a whole. The International Alliance of Theatrical Stage Employees, who is basically a union group dedicated to those working behind the scenes of like the people who hold the grips or the the food staff employees, the really behind the scenes people that you never hear of. It's sounding like they're really trying to amp up their stake in the industry to where they want, better pay for all the hours that they have, like better benefits most likely. And it's starting to have some interesting developments to where we're seeing that there's a possible strike about to happen. And something tells me that could be very problematic, not only for Hollywood, but also for, theaters and even streaming services that, especially nowadays, we need lots of content, not only for one side of the theaters, but also just for streaming too. And I can't imagine that. I could imagine like a strike happening, but I would think that Hollywood would make sure that doesn't happen for too long because, especially when they're trying so hard for streaming to be a thing for themselves, you would think that they'd be like, okay, we can't have production being shut down again for all these things right after a pandemic.
Oh no, I think they're like, screw it, we'll find somebody
else. Everybody that's in our industry remembers the writer's strike, and writers, these people are not.
Yeah.
Okay? They're not directly related to creating the content. Outside of the realm of the cinematographers, which how do they not have their own or a better union to fall into?
Yeah.
You would think they shoot for people, so you would think they would be in SAG or SAG adjacent or something.
They make the actors look pretty.
Yeah, you would think there'd be something there versus, it's cinematographers and gaffers and grips and food service and the guy who fuels up the golf cart.
The award-winning cinematographers are like, wait, why are you talking about me?
Yeah.
Well, I think there's just obviously a lot of upheaval in our industry. The ways that we have been conducting business on multiple levels, not just distributing movies, but how movies are even made, financed. All of that's been kind of an upheaval, and just so much more so during the pandemic. And now we're coming out of it, and we're seeing that because of streaming has just really amped up the chaos going on in our industry. And streaming requires constant content creation. Just ram that content through, make whatever you can. It doesn't always have to be good. It just has to be a lot, because you're just constantly refreshing all these streaming services with new content. So what the job used to be, maybe creative, maybe you go from job to job, and there used to be maybe a smaller community where you could negotiate, or you kind of knew somebody who knew somebody that you could get a better job at, and it just was maybe more insulated. But now that they need so much production across the US, and it used to kind of always be concentrated in LA. Now you've got these pockets of production coming up everywhere. Like Atlanta's becoming a huge place, and so you've just got, not only are you separated now and segregated from your colleagues in the industry, you're operating in states with different laws and stuff. And I think this idea of unionizing and trying to bring some standards to it all is not a terrible thing. And they are trying to recognize that they are still important cogs, even if they're small cogs in the production wheel, and that because production is ramped up so much, it's really ripe to abuse these lower level positions. And so they are starting to recognize that and maybe take a stand and strike. Although I just worry that obviously studios don't care. They're on a time schedule. They just want to get content through, and they'll find anybody to do that.
Sure.
To do that work. So it's kind of hard. I mean, everybody's
do you think
feeling
Disney
this.
is going to have trouble? They're just going to pull one of the Mickeys out of the park and make him hold a grip.
Yeah.
I mean,
Multitasking.
Cinematographer is the tough one, but I don't want to say everything's digital now.
Yeah.
It's a
It
little
can
different.
still make a big difference regardless if everything's digital.
I was going to ask this when we were talking about Cry Macho. Do you think they screw with Clint Eastwood being as old as he is, and they still have like
I think there's makeup on him for sure.
Well, no, I mean, do you think there's film reel cameras still on set, and they have like a digital camera inside of it, so he thinks it's actually playing on
He's like,
film?
this is what I'm used to.
Yeah.
No,
They're
because
like, okay, Clint.
he's a director. He knows, but
You
I
sure?
get it.
He's just old enough.
Pretty
that he's
sure.
Like, I shot Unforgiven on film, and we won an Academy Award.
Oh, I'm sure that has been said.
He
on
said that
something.
to Warner Bros. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure that has been said. I imagine he knows that there's digital, but
Hopefully.
I wonder how well he could actually operate one of those cameras. That would be like the fun thing to
he's
watch.
the
and that's where the people in these union come in.
Yeah.
They go,
Yeah,
here.
but you would think, I've seen footage of directors on set, and they'll look through the camera and they'll adjust some stuff. And
No, he's the
yeah.
director. That's like asking Bob Chapek to push the button on a ride. He has no idea.
he should.
He should, but he probably doesn't.
He has people to do that.
Yeah, have him walk in and say, "Hey, can you check out this customer waiting in the food court line?"
That would
No,
be really funny
that's not
to
how
watch.
that works.
That'd be so funny to watch.
Yeah.
Anyways, I just imagine him trying to use the technology doesn't go over so well, but I'm afraid he's probably aware of it.
He's got like an iPhone 2. Well, we got on a silly subject, but I am excited about last topic this week. Brand new animated Super Mario Brothers movie.
They're actually doing it.
I want live action.
No, you don't.
I do.
No, you don't.
I love that live action one from the 90s.
Weirdly, so does a lot of people now,
Yeah.
but no, we don't want that again.
Not now. I've always liked it.
Well, okay. Still a no for me.
My children didn't like it, but I liked it.
Oh, gosh, you showed it to them?
Of course.
And they
'cause
didn't have nightmares?
No.
I had
don't think
nightmares
so.
when I saw it when I was 20. Like, what are you...
Is it when she gets splattered against the wall and she's got a dragon skeleton?
Oh,
instead
it's
or a
all of
dinosaur?
it.
No,
I love that.
But if you took the title off the film
yeah.
and you said it now, like there's a movie from the 90s that's starring Bob Hoskins, John Leguizamo, and the bad guy is Dennis Hopper, anybody would watch that.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But then you say it's a Super Mario Brothers movie, you're like, oh no.
What you're supposed to do is after they finish watching it, hear them say, that was kind of weird. And then you go, that was a Super Mario's movie. And then they would be like, what?
They were plumbers.
I know, but you could have literally
And they went down pipes. What is the problem
not
here?
said Super Mario Brothers at the beginning of the movie, and nobody would have known.
Yeah, exactly.
Other than the fact that they
Like,
had.
oh, their names are Mario and Luigi.
That's weird. That's kind of like Super Mario Brothers. I bet they played the game when they were kids.
What a coincidence.
He's a King Koopa? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is fully animated.
Yeah.
All right. You've got Chris Pratt and Charlie Day as Mario and Luigi.
Because that's such a Mario and Luigi.
I actually think Charlie Day's pretty
They have
good.
good comedic voices.
The Chris Pratt one is kind of weird, but
Chris Pratt can't change his voice to not sound like anything other than Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
until now, when he learns how to do an offensive Italian accent.
The two big surprises, though, were Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, which is awesome.
That
Yeah,
one
that
I
one-
can see.
that
That
one
one
I
I
can
was
see.
fine with.
Yeah.
And then Jack Black as Bowser.
Even better.
Yeah.
I mean,
They got it.
He does animated better than
Oh, yeah.
almost anybody
He's
now.
got so much, skill in his voice.
Yeah. So that was a fun surprise to know.
And
Jack Black
it's
gets to
getting-
go full villain, powerful.
Right. So from this announcement, it's getting a lot of blowback online for, not casting Italian people in the role. Even though it's only a voiceover, and
That's
I get
the battle
it.
we need
And
to
it's
fight.
a Japanese video game.
And it's a Japanese video game. Yeah. You couldn't find any Japanese Italians out there that could take on these roles.
This is a Cody exclusive.
Yeah.
Kyle and Ken
Yeah.
are stepping back from your next
I
opinion.
don't have a horse in this race. I just really don't like Chris Pratt. Charlie Day didn't seem bad, but I think Chris Pratt's voice would be annoying on that. I can only handle him in the Lego movie. Doesn't mean he needs to be in anything else.
Did you like him in Onward? I forget.
She loved him in Onward.
Oh, I did like him in Onward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he'll do fine in like voice acting. It's just like you wouldn't connect Chris Pratt with Mario,
But,
I
like,
guess.
in
Like for some
Onward-
reason that's the one where, and it really
Yeah.
doesn't matter. Like he'll do fine, but
In Onward,
It's just
he
such a
sounded
crazy
like
list.
Chris Pratt as a weird
Yeah.
elf creature thing.
Yeah, that's the point. That's why they pay them millions of dollars
But
to sound
I'm
like themselves.
expecting Mario to sound a certain way, and I don't know if Chris Pratt can pull that off.
I don't even know if they're gonna have the Italian accents.
I
to
don't
be
know
honest.
if you're allowed to do that in 2021. Somebody's going to cancel a digital video game.
I mean, they almost nearly did when this announcement came out. They were like, "Why couldn't it have been an Italian person?" Is this the battle we really need
Yeah.
to have?
Well,
Like out
yeah.
of
In
everything?
the 90s,
That's-
they got John Leguizamo, who I'm not sure is Italian.
He's
sounds
Hispanic.
He's
yeah,
Hispanic.
that's.
I was going to
So
say
that's
Yeah.
close.
I was going to say we need some of the guys from The Sopranos.
Yeah, there you go. Get the kid who played young Anthony Soprano. Make him Mario.
Yeah,
He'll
Ray
do great.
Liotta.
Okay, now that's a movie I'll see. I'll see that movie.
Ray Liotta as a disgruntled smoking Luigi.
Do you think they're like, we got two white guys that are not Italian to play it in the 90s? We could do it again.
Sure.
You think,
Sure.
you think anybody from the original project they let within 50 miles of this?
They're like, never again.
They're
Never
like,
again.
oh, we're getting the voice cast together, and they're getting their wish list together. Somebody writes John Leguizamo on the list, and they throw him out of the building.
They've just burned the list. We'll start over.
Literally throw him out the 50th floor.
Never remember. This is coming from Illumination, the guys who made Despicable Me and the Sane franchise. And
They can't miss. Yeah.
yeah,
They are
I bet it'll be good.
The animation. Well, let's just say the animation will be good. On it.
We'll see how the voice
Quality.
acting is, but
Bump, bump, bump.
it's got all the good stars to where it'll have its recognition.
Yeah, I'm just
Whether you like it or not,
Yeah.
you'll recognize them.
I'm just glad to see it's not one name. Like it's not one person and then everything else. It's
Yeah.
the names get bigger and more interesting, and Jenny Slate's not in it, so thank God. I cannot listen to her voice in an animated film for one more second.
What other film? Oh, Secret Life of Pets.
It seems like she's in everything. I feel like I
Really?
hear her voice in my sleep.
Is it just
Wow,
because
you
it's
watch that
so
movie a
high
lot.
and
Yeah,
nasally kind of?
drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Well, don't worry, no Jenny Slate in this movie.
At least not yet.
Not yet.
I did not think this would be a fight that you would want to battle, but
Oh.
okay.
Cody made me rewatch Venom 1, and she's in it. And it was,
I
yeah.
forgot she
oh, I
was in
rolled
that.
my
I
eyes.
did. I rewatched it and I still enjoyed
I had to
it.
roll my eyes so hard every time she talked. She plays a scientist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you've seen her in like Parks and Rec, you're just like, what are you doing
No,
here?
if you see her pretend to be a scientist, you're like, why are you here?
Yeah, that's true too. That's fair. That one's fair.
But we're excited for Venom 2 next week, and Addams Family 2, and Many Saints of Newark.
I'm super excited for Venom, actually.
I'm just
Yeah.
excited for October.
Yeah. I mean, I say that. I haven't got to see Shang-Chi or Free Guy yet, and I was really excited for those. But
Yeah.
You should see Free Guy. I think you'd really like it.
But we can get showtimes up, tickets sold for everything through 10/8.
Yep.
So
Yep. Tickets are on sale now for those weeks, and
all the
I don't know if too many consumers are buying advance tickets anymore. Like, I don't know if that's a thing that you can really super gauge. You can kind of tell some interest from it, but I think more people are buying tickets very close to opening weekend.
Yeah.
So if you've opened
2
it
or
up
3
and
days before.
and you don't have a lot, I wouldn't worry about that right now. That's very common across the board, is that advance tickets the pre-sales are a lot slower than they were pre-pandemic.
Yeah, people aren't looking as far into the future as you may think.
No, not right now.
no, I'm planning on losing my sense of taste anytime now. Just waiting for it to happen.
Do you have a get healthy, get skinny plan for when that happens? Like, I'm not going to be worried too much about battling
I
it.
literally have a bottle of Tabasco sauce next to my bed that I like put on my tongue every morning just to make sure.
That's your test.
Yeah.
I feel alive. Okay.
Not today, COVID.
Yep, exactly. Not today, Rona. All right, send us out, Kyle.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to this episode of the Off the Break podcast. You can find us on all podcast platforms and over at silverscreeninsider.com, where you can find all of the accurate and updated film information for all the upcoming releases and marketing materials that you can use for your social media promotions.
Have a great weekend, guys. I'm so excited.
Big grosses, everybody.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.